conducting information and providing storms. We've updated the plowing section, so we've included a turning T and a standard for clearing of those. We do have some turning Ts on roads that we own that are currently transferred to the province, as well as there's the ability to bring those back in-house, so it felt it was time to have a turning T standard moving forward. We are recommending adjusting the gravel clearing time for cut through from 6 hours to 8 hours. We do, sorry, it's, sorry. They are located kind of throughout the municipality, and by doing so would allow for us to utilize the grader to more efficient uses. And there is adjustments to the sidewalks by removing the priority 1 and priority 2 of sidewalks and active transportation and lumping them together as one, and breaking down the pathways and walkways into priority 1 and priority 2 sections. This is seen as a benefit moving forward, especially with the growth that's being seen in the Enfield, Elmsdale, and Lance growth management areas as a future proofing of the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, we'll go to comments, and we'll start with the warden.
Thank you. So these changes that are recommended, just so I'm perfectly clear, we're not taking any clearing away from any pathways or anything that we've previously done? Okay. And we're not making it more difficult to add anything in the future should it be determined it needed to be added?
I don't believe so. Through you to the chair, no.
So we're just kind of tidying it up, and for example, by changing from 6 hours to 8 hours, that will allow the grader to grade the gravel road, do some grading here, and then get to the next gravel road down there, instead of having to skip the paved road in the middle and go to the other gravel road and then come back.
Now, through Madam Chair, on that one specifically, it actually makes it more efficient to have the change, and it still doesn't. We still trigger a clearing at a maximum or a minimum amount of snow, so they go anyway. So that's on the recurring cycle is the 8 hour, but if you get 10 centimeters of snow, we're out there. So the plows are still out for the initial. It's that 8 hour cycle, but then they can deploy and be more efficient. So the greater road network gets done more efficiently.
That's good.
Yeah.
So now my next question is, you have 2 recommended motions there. Are they both committee recommendations? So we're. That's what I thought. The second motion is not made today.
Yeah.
All right, then I'm going to move that the Infrastructure and Operations Committee recommends to Council that Council gives notice of intent to adopt the East Hants policy for winter clearing standard for roads and sidewalks as attached to the July 16th, 2024 Infrastructure and Operations Agenda of Executive Committee.
Okay, moved and seconded. On before the motion, Councillor Mitchell.
I have a question, but it doesn't do with the motion.
Before the motion.
My question doesn't deal with the motion or anything or the report. My question deals with when the sidewalks are cleared in the wintertime and the public works plow goes by and fills them back in, what is the time frame for them to get cleared again?
Through the chair. So that would be, we typically allow for 24 hours after the end of the storm. Obviously, if DOT or Department of Public Works, fills us back in, we certainly are out driving around. If we notice it, then we advise the contractor. The current contractor has various assets in the different communities. So if it's in Elmsdale, they know who to call to send them back out to go hit those roads again. They do have a contract supervisor that is supposed to be out as well during and post-storm. So we work closely with that individual to ensure that our sidewalks get cleaned. The policy, as it states, would be for 24 hours post-storm. So there is some allowance for Department Department of Public Works or our own contractor for roads that might fill in some of our sidewalks to allow for the sidewalk contractor to go back out and ensure it's completed in the timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all, Counselor? Okay, next up to speak is Counselor Perry.
Hi, good day. I want to say I like the report. I especially like the inclusion of the T-cerning sections because those are something that are definitely needed to protect both the municipality and the contractors that are doing the work. I like the fact it was mentioned about the service exchange with Public Works because there's out in our area, Mount Uniac, it's all service exchange. And in the last number of years, it is getting worse and worse and worse with Public Works going down a road and then stopping and leaving the municipal portion that they're supposed to clear, not done, and then it freezes, and then you're dealing with weeks and weeks of ice and ruts and everything else. So in that instance, and this is kind of for the public knowledge as well as watching, like calling that road line and letting people know that the road hasn't been cleared and things like that. Does Public Works always have to come back out to clear that? And is there a timeline for them that they have to have it done by? Because in some of these instances, some of these roads go up and down hills, and of course now school buses can't access the roads, and children have to walk some places a kilometer or more to the bottom of a hill to now catch a bus where they used to be able to catch it at the end of their driveway, but because Public Works didn't clear that road, now the road's messed up for the next 9 weeks. So.
Through you to the chair. Sorry, through the chair to you, Counselor. So we do have contact information for the various area supervisors. I do believe the area supervisor for UNIC has retired, so we're in contact with Department of Public Works for new contact information for that. You are correct. We have received complaints through our roads, and we certainly appreciate those. It does allow for us to hear what's happening on our roads and allows us to go out and see them for ourselves too when we're in the area for other work. The Department of Public Works has their own standards. I wouldn't be able to speak entirely to how they do their work or what their turnaround time for it is. I do know for local roads, I believe the clearing standard is to start a plow on it after 24 hours. I think it is after the storm. I mean, we've certainly had conversations with them specifically around turning tees for buses. A lot of the buses do utilize the turning tees to turn around to get back to access the main roads. So it is one that's ongoing, and certainly we can bring it up to their attention again when we do our service exchange. And I'll probably leave it to Jesse if he has anything else.
Through Madam Chair, the key message for our residents is regardless of the exchange, the province needs to meet their own standards, whether it was a municipal road that was switched over or not. And so we can reference that at the start of the year. We'll have a kickoff meeting with the province and an exchange, and we'll just revalidate that, especially with a new staff on the provincial side. It's good. We've initiated a few meetings since. And onboarding, and so that's what we'll do. We'll start that early September in the dialogue. We go through the exchange, we'll meet in person, validate the roads, validate the conditions, and then we'll publish updates for our public as well. So as a reminder, as we launch into the season, that usually happens late October, early November. So we'll start communicating with the public on this is who you call. So here's the exchange, here's the roads, here's your call, and we'll align with the province on that messaging so they know we're sending people to them for those exchanged roads.
Yeah, because in some instances,
It can be confusing.
well, they'll clear one road and the second road was municipal, they don't clear it. And so it's 24 hours to the first road, and now it's another 24 or 48 before they come back to fix the next one. So it becomes not one day, it's 3-4 days before the road gets cleared. And then we all know with rain and slush and East Coast weather, that becomes an issue. So just, I'm glad to hear those meetings take place, because I know, it's been my experience the last number of years, whenever somebody calls me and I call in here, you know, the phone calls go out and it's just, you know, let's face it, all you ever see in the news is Public Works looking for people to work and everything else. So they're overborne too. So I'm not trying to slam everything on Public Works, but I'm glad you guys are going to have to meet with the new area manager, and hopefully everything will be clear and those service interruptions won't happen this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Next up to speak is Councillor Musa.
Thank you. Just to add up to Councillor Perry, it's like with all, so when you talk about exchange, so we do some provincial road in here and they do the one in Mount Uniacke, right?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
So have we ever explored to do our own in Mount Uniacke and not taken their road here? Like what will be the difference in the budget? Like have we ever explored this option?
Through Madam Chair, it comes up every few years actually and discussed internally. The challenge with doing just our own roads in today's world is it's the travel time in between roads and the spacing, and then we're dividing up our resourcing, and so the response, and we don't have as deep of a contractor pool that can do that work for us on the Mount Uniacke side, that we haven't built up that contractor base that we could deploy it. It's something we keep checking on. We've been talking about it, trying to find areas. The starting point would likely be the business park and then expand out from that. We just haven't got enough confidence in contractor depth to go there yet at this point. It's a fluid conversation, not an official review, but we do talk to staff every couple of years.
Yeah, but it's worth looking at the contractor, because I'm telling you, in Mount Uniacke, like from my experience living there, the private roads are the first road that plow before even the highway, before even any municipal road, and they're nice and spotless. And Councillor Perry live on one, and he knows the difference. So if we could find a reliable contractor for Mount, it's growing, and we have a lot of roads down there. We have more roads probably than years ago, like with the Cottage Country, the Morning Breeze, the business park. So it's worth it to look at it, and if it's gonna cost probably the same or a little bit more and better service, because I'm telling you, like some people they're not plowed in 48 hours or like more sometimes, most of the time, like. And I think with the social media and stuff, when they see everything is cleared up here and faster than over there, they think this double standard in municipality too. So I think we should be looking at with the growth, I think we should be looking at our own contractors. Thank you.
Through Madam Chair, I should add something. I didn't want to suggest that there isn't contractors doing great work on that side of the municipality. It gets into who has the requirements to do work for the municipality. It gets into insurance coverages and risk and liabilities, and there's a lot of folks doing great work. It's just they don't have the right criteria yet, and a private road has more flexibility on who they hire and can bring in, and there'd be more risk if something went wrong, but they benefit greatly from having those more options. They just take on more risk in doing it.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody over there like close to the area that could do it. So if we look, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Seeing no one left to speak, I'd be looking for the question. Question's been called. We'll go to the vote. And the motion has passed unanimously. And that's it for infrastructure and operations. Thank you for your presentation. I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? We are adjourned.
We are going into council for this,
We are what?
going into council.
Oh, okay. That's not me, right?
We just did it.
Just gonna say, it was that fast.
Just fix it.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
Thank you for taking care of me, Norval,
It's okay.
like my personal assistant.
Okay, I would call this meeting of Council for Policy and in camera to order. And as this is a new meeting, I will open by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki in the district of Sabaganagadi, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. East Hants further acknowledges the 50 African Nova Scotian communities whose 400-year history have contributed to the province's culture, history, and legacies. We are all treaty people. We will start with the Infrastructure and Operations Committee report. Back to you, Councillor Garden Cole.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on July 16, 2024 in council chambers. The following motion is coming forward as a result of the meeting. First item, update East Hants policy for winter clearing standard for roads and sidewalks. The East Hants policy for winter clearing standards for roads and sidewalks outlines standards and guidelines used by the municipality when issuing and evaluating our snow clearing contracts. Regular updates are required to continue providing clear direction to the contractors, ensuring our standards remain current, and provide clear expectations of service to our residents. The Infrastructure and Operations Committee recommends that Council give notice of intent to adopt the East Hants policy for winter clearing standard for roads and sidewalks as attached to the July 16th, 2024 Infrastructure and Operations Agenda of Executive Committee. As chair of the committee, I so move.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question has been called. We'll go to the vote.
And the motion is passed unanimously.
No, that's me, but I'm just
Okay.
counting. Somebody hasn't voted. No, we're only 10. No, the motion is passed unanimously.
As chair of the committee, I move the adoption of this report.
All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. We will now go to Corporate and Residential Services. Over to you, Councillor Perry.
Thank you, Madam Warden. The committee held its regular meeting on July 16th, 2024, and the following motions are coming forward as a result of that meeting. The CAO Authority Policy Review. The CAO Authority Policy is being updated as part of the Policy Review Program. The 5 program changes are template updates, addition of power to discharge, complete development agreements, clarification on the CAO's authority of easement agreements, and the appointment of officers to enforce municipal bylaws and the authority over operations at the Sportsplex. The Corporate and Residential Services Committee recommends to Council that Council give notice of intent to approve the CAO Authority Policy as attached to the Executive Committee agenda dated 16 July 2024. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question's been called. And the motion is passed by a vote of 9-1, with Councillor Rhino voting nay.
Management of Real Property Policy. Municipal real estate functions are managed as a centralized service area in the Corporate and Service Department. The proposed new Management of Real Property Policy is the first policy being brought forward as part of a larger governance framework staff deem necessary to support the service area. The proposed policy documents how East Hants will carry out services related to municipal real property and documents East Hants' commitment to a real property management program. The Corporate Residential Service Committee recommends to Council that Council give notice of intent to approve the Management of Real Property Policy as attached to the Executive Committee agenda dated July 16th, 2024. As Chair of the Committee, I so move.
Seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Question has been called. The motion is passed unanimously.
Municipal Fee Policy Update. The municipal fee policy is being updated as part of the Policy Review Program. Planning and Development's regular fee cycle review has a requirement of the Housing Accelerator Fund agreement. As a result of these reviews, staff are proposing the change in planning development fees, the integration of current municipal fees into the municipal fee policy, the removal of defunct fees, and the creation of an information access fee. The Corporate Residential Services Committee recommends to council, the council give notice of intent to approve municipal fee policy as attached to the executive committee agenda dated July 16th, 2024. As chair of the committee, I so move.
Seconded by Counselor Musa. Any discussion on the motion? Question has been called. Somebody hasn't voted, folks. And the motion is passed unanimously.
As chair of the committee, I move the adoption of this report.
Seconded by Counselor Mitchell. All those in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. We now have 3 in-camera issues, 2 land issues, and a legal issue. So I would be looking for a motion to move in camera. Moved by Counselor Mitchell, seconded by Counselor Hebb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion is carried. We will give staff time to move our meeting